सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Together we chant chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita, verses 1 to 10.
अर्जुन उवाच प्रकृतिं पुरुषं चैव क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञमेव च एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम तत्क्षेत्रं यच्च यादृक् च यद्विकारि यतश्च यत् स च यो यत्प्रभावश्च तत्समासेन मे शृणु ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम् छन्दोभिर्विविधैः पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चितैः महाभूतान्यहङ्कारः बुद्धिरव्यक्तमेव च इन्द्रियाणि दशैकं च पञ्चचेन्द्रियगोचराः इच्छा द्वेषः सुखं दुःखं सङ्घातश्चेतना धृतिः एतत् क्षेत्रं समासेन सविकारमुदाहृतम् अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधिः दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु
A critical facet of knowledge in the Indian tradition is that knowledge is not considered to be erudition and scholarship. Throughout the scriptures, you find people who are not knowledgeable, as it were, but highly respected as jnanis. For instance, even in our normal life, we would accept Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as an extremely knowledgeable person, as a self-realized person. We would not say, oh, he doesn't know the scriptures. We would never make a statement like that. We would speak of Sri Ramana Maharishi as with great respect and reverence, with Mirabai, anyone. All these great sages and saints, we have respected them as people of knowledge, in spite of the fact that they have no degrees, they have no education to speak of. So this is very inherent in the Indian ethos and the Indian culture, that knowledge has not got an indelible link with erudition and scholarship. It's a fascinating aspect of it. And throughout you see this thing, even in the Mahabharata itself, in the Ramayana. I mean, all over the place you will see examples of people who are considered deeply knowledgeable, but nowhere is there any mention of any kind of erudition or scholarship. No degrees, no studies, no nothing. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, as we are studying it right now, is the same concept, that your knowledge is not known by what you know, but how you are, what you do. That is what determines knowledge. So, amanitvam, if you're a knowledgeable person, what kind of person will you be? You will be one without mana. Mana means pride. Amana, no pride. What is this pride? Where does this come from, this arrogance of knowledge? It comes because of the absence of the right values of life. This whole concept starts all the way. Panchatantra is taught to children, and we all have read various portions of it in our growing up years. Do you remember that story about the four pandits who studied a lot? I mean, three of them studied a lot, and one was a fool. Remember that story? And they were going through the forest, and they saw a skeleton there. I mean, they saw bones there. So they said, let us implement our vidya. What is vidya which is not practiced? So let us practice our vidya. And so they put together, one of them put all the asti together, they put the bones together, made the skeleton. A second one put the flesh together. And the third one was going to give consciousness to that tiger. It turns out to be a lion. So the third one is about to put consciousness into the lion. And so the fourth one, the uneducated one, the one who hadn't studied anything at all, he said, wait, what are you doing? It's a lion. It'll eat you if you bring it to life. They said, what is vidya which is not practiced? Gave him a lecture. So he said, okay, please, you put consciousness into the animal, but first let me climb a tree. So they said, okay, you are a stupid fool. You know nothing anyway. You climb a tree. So he climbed the tree. And of course, then the lion came to life and ate up these three Murkha Panditaha. And that's the story. And we've all studied it as children. So that's the whole point of knowledge. What are you doing? Then no, knowledge has to be practiced. It's a very, very interesting aspect of knowledge as to what you're doing with it. Because what you're doing with it is the knowledge bit. Everything is the information bit. And information is not knowledge. What you're doing with that information you have is what determines knowledge. So, what are you doing with it? Suppose you're using your knowledge to show off. What a waste, right? Who are you showing off to? Suppose you become very, very good at a subject. You're really excellent. You're the best in that knowledge. Now just think about it. If you are the best in that knowledge, who will know that you are the best at it? There would be hardly anyone capable of knowing this. So who are you showing off to? If people appreciate you're knowledgeable, you're probably not. So it's a very interesting concept. Even if we take Einstein and all, why do we people say he's so great? Because somebody else said so. हमें क्या पता whether he's great or not? We will have to be almost there to know whether what he said was so great or not. So, what are you doing with the knowledge? Are you using it as a feather in your cap? Then your knowledge is very, very low, because if it was really that high, you would not be capable of using it like that. Well, who will know that you are so knowledgeable? You can't know. They don't have that discrimination to know. So, humility is a very large part of knowledge, because the first thing knowledge shows you is
That
What you don't know.
humility, you're
how
humble.
much you don't know. How much? What is that amount you don't know? That is what knowledge shows you. Now you've got taken knowledge and you become very arrogant about it. That means step one has not been crossed. So, what is knowledge? It manifests as, they say, head becomes heavy, like the plants or the trees, when they're heavy with fruit. It's a famous Subhashitam. When it's heavy with fruit, it bends. If the knowledge is really there, the head bends. It has to. So the first quality of a jnani is the humility. Humility only means right values. You understand things correctly. If you understand things correctly, now what is the pride about? There can't be pride when you understand it correctly. If you understand, if you're very proud, I'm so wealthy, but you understand wealth correctly, you realize that throughout history, wealth was in the form of coins. Because they were very smart people at that time. They made it in the shape of the wheel, because the wheel will wheel away. You don't know at what time you will have money, what time you won't have money. What is the pride about? What is the pride in the looks about? Today you're very beautiful. Tomorrow, who knows? In fact, the higher probability is that you will not be beautiful tomorrow. That's the higher probability. I mean, you can put in a lot of effort and stay beautiful, but even then, if you are Borg, at some point the title will not be yours. So, pride is nothing but the absence of knowledge. Knowledge means what? You have the right values in life. If you have the right values in life, you understand the impermanence of everything. All your friends, all the support you have, whatever we are so proud about, suppose there is a boy, young boy, his father is CM of the state, and he goes around thinking, who my dad is. It takes a second that CM ship will go. And now the poor boy cannot say, who my father is. It is a very transient thing. So when there is right values, there will always be
Humility, no pride.
And right values is equal to what happened?
Knowledge of the self.
Knowledge,
Knowledge.
higher
Right
knowledge.
values is equal to knowledge.
Mm. Because
if you don't understand the value of something, then what knowledge are you talking about? Deep Raj. Some religious traditions are for meat eating and some are against it. Does it connect to ahimsa? And if so, why are there two recommendations? Okay, we'll just come to ahimsa. Let's finish with this. Okay, so amanitvam, no pride, is equal to right values. When you value something correctly, you understand its place in things, you will not be proud about it, whatever that thing be. Adambhitvam. Adambhitvam means no pretentiousness. No trying to show that you are better than what you are. You see, when you find people will learn quality number one. They will say, oh, humility is the first quality of a Jnani. So I must be very humble. So I'll go everywhere and say, you have called me to speak, but I know nothing. But if you know nothing, why on earth are you speaking? Keep quiet then if you don't know anything. Why did you accept this invitation? So we try to give ourselves these qualities which we don't really possess. So he's warning us and saying, make sure you possess the right values rather than pretending to be humble. Okay, it's better to be wealthy than to pretend to be wealthy. The most wealthy people look the least wealthy. Have you noticed that? Have you ever looked at Bill Gates and found him to look like a very rich person? What about Steve Jobs? Did he ever look at like a rich person? He was wearing that same silly black t-shirt all his life. Arey Baba, can't you at least buy one more color? No, only black t-shirt. Okay, then who else? Who are the rich people in this world? Does Warren Buffett have some lovely big place?
Ratan Tata.
Ratan Tata, at least Ratan Tata wears a suit, so he's a little bit ahead. I mean, none of the rich people look rich. Have you ever realized that? But all the wannabe models who do not have any money, they look wow. They are like, wow, this person must be so rich. So, adambhitvam. Those who have it don't need to show it. Those who don't have it need to demonstrate. If you see it too much, be warned. It's probably not there. Common example. Can you give common examples? I'll give you one example. Facebook. On Facebook, when couples say, oh, I love my husband, I love my wife, I can't live without you, know that there is some problem going on at home. Otherwise, why will you say this on Facebook? She's living with you in your house. Why don't you tell her? No, I won't tell her. I will tell the rest of the world. सबके सब पागल लोग हैं यहाँ पे. So, okay, when you see a lot of flash and glory over there, it's probably not there. Now, don't say, oh, you said something nice about your spouse online, so definitely you're fighting. Don't do that. But normally, the more you're showing it, the less it is probably there. I've seen because lots of people sort of speak to us, so we get to see a little bit of the real side of people. I have known couples who have come to say how they are on the verge of divorce. And if they are seen in public, they're all holding hands and being very lovey-dovey and all sorts of things. Then that doesn't mean you should fight with your spouse in public. Don't go to the other extreme. Oh, just as we fight at home, we must fight like that in the party. Please, that's not what it means. What it means is this attitude of ours to show something that is not there, or to make it appear to be something which is not there. Second quality of a jnani doesn't do all this. Doesn't do all this because there's no time to waste on all these things. He's really not concerned with the opinions of others because he is the knowledgeable person. He knows himself what is good, what is bad. So how does it matter to him what anyone else is thinking? So his reliance on the opinions of others is very low. That's what it means. Third quality is ahimsa. Ahimsa. Now will come. Bharat, louder the expression, shallower the quality. Yes, generally speaking, that is true, but please don't make laws like that. But yes, it is generally true. Adiprat. Some religious traditions are for meat eating and some are against. Does it connect to ahimsa? And if so, why are there two recommendations? Does it connect to ahimsa? Not really. It connects more with geography. Suppose you lived in a place, like suppose you lived in Tibet, where nothing really grows, which is for human consumption. Only sort of weeds and I don't know. Then I mean, you can't grow apples and mousambis and all these wonderful things in Tibet. Then those people would tend to have a reliance in food on meat eating and things like that because the cattle can probably eat that kind of thing that grows there, but human beings can't. But if you come down to, let's say, the Gangetic Plain and things like that, now you're such a wide abundance of vegetarian food that the requirement for meat eating will reduce substantially. So it's probably to do with geography, number one, and to do with occupations, because some occupations are such that you need a certain kind of diet. So geography, like in Rajasthan, for instance, in Maharashtra, you will find that all the curries and all this, it's very watery. But if you eat food in Rajasthan, it is all very dry. So you see, the geography, like for around the coastal region, for instance, whether it is Calcutta or anywhere down the coast, Kerala, anywhere, you find a lot of fish eating. So it's got to do with more geography, occupations, things like that. It also has something to do with your own nature, because in the same geography also there will be variations. So all these factors probably play. Now, where ahimsa comes into the question is that suppose you are in the Gangetic plain, but you're still craving for meat, then maybe ahimsa comes into play. But if you're living in Tibet and there is nothing for those bichara people to eat, then you can't tell them that, you all are really himsa because you're eating meat. So when there is like in India, there's an abundance of vegetarian diets. Every 100 kilometers, maybe the diet has got variation. When I went this time to Bangalore, we all think we know dosa so well. We know idli, we know dosa. The whole country knows this thing. In the East also you have, no? Idli, dosa, it has permeated the country. Though we call it South Indian now, it's permeated the country. So we all think we know idli, we know dosa. Come from Mumbai, where there is no end to this thing. And I was surprised. For the first time in my life, I saw sabudana idli. Have you all heard of sabudana idli? It's very nice. When you go to Bangalore, you have. But the point is, no matter how much you've been a vegetarian and how much you've been to places, you can always find something new there. So now, under these conditions, if you're eating meat, you have so much variety and such tasty food, then probably ahimsa comes into the question. But there are no rules on this. This is no eternal laws here. The eternal law of ahimsa is this, that you never wish harm to another. As long as that is your attitude, that in no way have you ever wished harm to anybody for any reason, no matter how they have behaved, then you have lived up to the principle of ahimsa. Now, you don't wish them harm, but you always are capable of taking strict action. So when you take strict action, that doesn't mean you have violated the principle of ahimsa. Now, sometimes it seems like, both yahan se bhi, wahan se bhi, these people are always saying. But take an example and then it becomes clear. In some of the prisons, what is that horrible prison of the US, which they always come out with horror stories from?
Alcatraz.
No, Alcatraz is famous for that escape, no? But that horrible prison, that Gwitter something, Gitter. Okay, so that's this terrible prison in high security prison, and always we hear of human rights violations taking place there. Like they torture the prisoners basically. Okay, so now taking strict action, if not accompanied by ahimsa, makes us into devils. Krishna is also taking strict action. He has been very clear that Duryodhana and the Kauravas are going to be annihilated. But since it's accompanied by ahimsa, there is no, what should I say? There's no reveling in the discomfort or pain in the others. Okay? So if you think of that Guatemala, whatever that prison's name is, whatever, this Akhilan. Yeah, that one. Supposed to be. I don't know. Okay, please. I am not giving you any facts on this matter. This is what I have heard. I am merely telling you this story as an example. Now somebody will come to me and say, how dare you say Guten Namo Be? Everybody, if I say anything, you should see the comments. It's very tough. Be very, very careful. So, how can you say that? What do you know? I do not know. I am not claiming to know. But if those stories were true, it would be how justice, when not tempered by mercy, becomes cruelty. So even when you take strict action, that has to be on the basis of ahimsa. Means you don't wish harm to the other person, but you have to deal with the situation. So ahimsa is harmlessness in attitude. And that is a non-negotiable. That you never wish harm to anyone else, no matter what happens.
So in this particular example, say I am living in Tibet, and since I value my own preservation, the preservation of this personality, so I have need to sustain my personality, but I don't wish harm upon any being. That's correct. That would be an attitude
Yeah,
of.
I mean, I have to eat, right? So I have to eat what is available.
Okay.
But you know, like sometimes even when they kill the animals for meat, they torture the animal and kill it. You know, so I mean, you do the minimum damage. That's basically the idea. You do the minimum damage.
Thank you.
Momita,
This is about unpretentiousness. So yesterday, a lady was telling me that her relationship has been for 5 years, but her boyfriend has never ever put her in any of his social media pictures, and she would feel very good if he did. So is this also about technology, how things have changed socially, and
No,
what
no.
seems
No, there is definitely a problem here. I didn't say that if you put your husband's picture there, I mean, how can it be? I went on a holiday, I took a picture, and never my partner's picture is there. Something's wrong, obviously. This is different from overwhelming expressions of love. To not be there at all seems to be questionable, no? Which obviously is questionable to her also, and would be questionable to anybody. Why would you not?
so, like in the case of ahimsa, which is regional and not something timeless or strictly.
No, ahimsa, your food, your diet. Ahimsa is eternal.
Sorry, yeah.
Diet.
Yeah, so similarly with unpretentiousness also.
No, why?
Because I mean, the whole social communication has changed so much today.
So same thing. But what you would have said in real life, you will say on the social media. No difference as far as that goes. When you are, when in terms of the relationship, when you are really, you can't stand each other at home, but you go to a party and behave like you all are best friends. Equivalent to that is you can't say one straight sentence to each other at home, but on social media you show, oh my, I love my wife so much, or I love my husband so much. It's the same thing. Social
Okay.
media is not the defining factor.
No, what I was saying is like a few years ago, before Facebook, etc., it would have been considered sort of in bad taste to flaunt your relationship status, etc. But now it's become like if you don't, then it's a issue.
Really?
No?
That is the difference in flaunting it and stating it. If I'm married, why will I deny being married? Or if I'm in a relationship, why would I deny being in a relationship? Both ways it's pretentiousness, man. Non-pretentiousness is pitching it where it is. If I'm Bill Gates and I claim to be very poor, it's pretentiousness.
Yeah, pretentious comes from pretending.
So whatever you're pretending, if you have to pretend, then you're pretentious. I suppose,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Shanti. So far, so good. Anyone has anything? So far, so good. So,
What question he asked, Deep Raj, regarding religions, like one religion is in favor and one religion is stanch against it. So why there is like religion means you're teaching good values, you're teaching good things, all these things should be same in all religions. But why this particular thing, some are promoting and some are really like Jainism and Islam, you say. These are two very, very different things. So is it only because of geographical climate and all that? There must be some other thing in that. That's only came to mind.
so when you say religion, every religion is composed of three facets.
Mm.
A religion is a combination of rituals, mythology, and philosophy.
Mm.
The rituals and the mythology in every religion will be different. In Christianity, they'll have Adam and Eve. Over here, they'll have Manu and something. Every religion will have a different mythology. They will also have different rituals. In the church, they will give you whatever, bread and wine. Here, they will give you, in a Hindu temple, depending on which one you go to, they'll give you coconut or bundi or whatever, that halwa. So, in every sect, in every religion, the rituals are different, the mythology is different, and the rituals represent the things they're supposed to do or not do, and how they're supposed to do it. Okay, there is a certain way you do things in church. There's a certain way you do things in a havan. There's a certain way you do things in a mosque. All of this is going to be different. All their stories are going to be different. But the philosophy is the same. So nobody's going to say do harm. But what that translates into as actual action will differ from place to place. So yes, so Jainism may say you can't, you have to put that thing on your mouth so you don't even damage, creatures who you breathe
Yeah,
in.
even the microorganisms and
Yeah.
small
Oh,
insects.
yeah. And
Water also they
there's a man
filter
in
and
our
eat.
building. There's a man in our
So
building when
there's
he
a
walks.
vast difference in these things. So religion, it means is not an authentic thing to
No,
like.
religion is a smriti. Every religion has smriti and shruti.
Mhm.
So the shruti part is same for everybody because that's based on eternal principle.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the smriti part will obviously differ because on so many things. Who was the prophet speaking to? Why was he saying what he was saying? What was the context in which he was
And what
saying?
was taken by the followers is different, maybe.
Or taken is a
Maybe.
separate issue, but what he himself said.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, a Muhammad would not have said the same thing that a Ramana Maharishi has said.
Mhm.
What they said was different, but that is based on their understanding of not only the eternal laws, but the context in which they were, their historical
Yeah,
place.
and how the people understood it, their followers, then
No, that
it
is a
became a
different point.
conditioning, maybe.
That is a
And
different point.
religion.
That is any misunderstanding. So we are not
Mm.
referring to any misunderstanding. We're talking of the original itself. We need not claim that Mahavir.
Ultimately, it boils down to what you think is your religion. It's not that you are connected to a particular religion
Omar,
and then you are following.
you don't
Uh,
seem to be listening to anything. You have something going on in your head. You have to stop and listen because that's how new knowledge comes in. You have these views as it is. So that's that. But here today, what is your learning? That a religion is made up of rituals, mythology, and philosophy. The philosophy in all religions is the same. The rituals, which means their actions, and their mythology, that means their stories, will all differ.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
So, Shanti. Shanti means what? Forgiveness. What is the quality of forgiveness? It is a quality of knowledge. when you recognize that every being, you included, functions by his or her own vasanas, what on earth are you trying to forgive? What is there to forgive? Are you going to say, oh, sun, I forgive you for rising? I wanted to sleep last night. I had gone out. I wanted to sleep a little, but you rose this morning. I forgive you. Meaning in such statements. But, son, I will not forget how you woke me up today, even though I wanted to sleep. But still, I forgive you. Nonsense statements. Yes, total gone case. So if you don't have forgiveness, total gone case. Aditi, does the quality of Adambhitvam also come under the quality of Arjavam? I haven't heard Arjavam from you a long time, Aditi. No, they're two separate qualities. One is the negative side, one is the positive side. One is I am not showing myself to be more than I am. The other one is I am living by my conviction and conscience. It is possible that you are not pretentious, but you're not living up to any values that you yourself have.
Shanti, could you just repeat those two words, please?
Adambhitvam, non-pretentiousness, unpretentiousness, and Aditi's favorite quality, Arjavam. Now, whenever I hear Arjavam, I think of Aditi. She loves it. So unpretentiousness means I'm not showing myself to be more than I am. So many people do not show themselves to be more than what they are. But they may not still have Arjavam. Arjavam is you living up to the values that you espouse. Means if you're just cruising in your life, stagnating, you may not suffer from pretentiousness, but you may not be living a life of Arjavam.
Thank you.
Shanti is the simple quality of understanding a fundamental truth of life, that every being functions according to his vasanas. And no matter how many times we tell this to ourselves, we still say, you know what he did? How can he behave like that? How can he behave like that? How can he behave any other way is the question. I told him that he must come by 10 o'clock, that I have a very important meeting to go to. And he still came at 11. Can he be like that? How can he be like that? How can he be other than that? So, Shanti is only recognizing that things are all going according to their vasanas, not according to what I want. The rose doesn't lose its thorns because I want a rose without thorns. The sun doesn't doesn't rise because last night I had a very difficult night, but in the morning I'm going to get up late. Will the sun not come because you want to get up late? So the moment you get this about life, no internal resistance to anything. You recognize it for what it is. It is what it is. This is it. Get used to it. Because whether you get used to it or you don't get used to it, it continues to be what it is. So get used to it. Better you get used to it. Only thing, as in all conditions, you have to remember that when action is necessary, please take the action. So you can't say, my driver came late, so I got late to work. You have options. You can get rid of the driver. You can tell the driver, come at 9 when you want him at 10. You have options. But please work with the options which are available instead of longing for options which are not available. You have to find what's available, right? What are my options if my driver never comes at the time I've told him to come? What are my options? Get rid of him. Do that. No, how can I get rid of him? He's such a good man. He's so honest. He's so trustworthy. He's taken care of all my children so nicely for so many years. Then tell him to come at 9 o'clock in the morning. when you want him at 10. And if it's a really important meeting, then you tell him, Aaj raat yahi so jana, because you don't know whether this guy will end up or not. Oh, sorry, I missed this. Mukesh Bajaria. In comparison to veganism, does vegetarian fall into ahimsa? None of these are yardsticks for ahimsa. Ahimsa is only your intent of not hurting. Suppose you have become a vegan because you think it's such a healthy eating practice. What is it to do with ahimsa? So it is to do with your commitment or your wish or your attitude of never causing harm, never desiring harm on another person.
But my children are vegans, and basically they try to put their case forward. They're saying that drinking or having dairy products, because that's the main part of vegetarian and difference between veganism and vegetarian. They say you're actually harming animals because the cruelty they show to animals. In the milk, where they get the milk from, or how they process food and all that. It's like murderous. So I just wanted this clarity of thought on that.
It is to do with the intent. Have they become vegan because they are seeing cruelty to the animals? In which case it will have something to do with ahimsa. But if they become vegan because they think that's the healthy way of living, no, that's got nothing to do with ahimsa. It all depends on what are you thinking? What is your attitude? Some people are vegetarian because they think God will get angry with them if they eat non-veg. Nothing to do with ahimsa. This is fear of God. This has nothing to do with ahimsa. So what is the person thinking when he's doing that action? That's what these qualities are about. All of them.
Thank you.
Jankiji, I had another question linked to that. And what if that person, they don't want to be cruel to the animals and that's why they become vegan? But what if then everything else, they're really being cruel to other people or living a life of complete, as you say, being mean and horrible to everyone around?
So that will come under adambhitvam, non-pretentiousness.
Couldn't hear you.
Because you're pretending
I couldn't hear
to
that.
have a
Voice gone.
concern for living beings which you are not exhibiting at all times. Will come under pretentiousness. Okay? Bharat.
So, Jankiji, Vasana's function doesn't always come to your rescue because time reveals a new low in people. So you're always in a spot where you're taking for a surprise. So how does it help then?
It helps because you wake up to the fact that it was your wrong assessment. It had nothing to do with the other person. If I did not see something that was coming, so I made a mistake. I'll be more careful next time.
But if there weren't any indications, how would you know and how would you anticipate?
Sometimes you can't know. People are lying to you, right? How will you know? You can't know. So you didn't know. But that is what the person was. The person has not suddenly become something. So for whatever reason, or the person did not show it, or you did not see it, or for whatever reason, your assessment was not right. Now you know. Now your assessment is right. And also the other thing is that we have to also understand that we are not some, I don't know what, Delphic oracles assessing people. We can only see what is there in the most obvious things. Like we make this mistake with our spouses, with our parents. Sometimes parents don't like to exercise, but you will go on telling them to exercise, but they're not going to. Many of our mothers did not exercise, though we told them to. They didn't. Though what we told them, everybody told them, their husbands told them, they didn't do it. So just recognizing that people are what they are, and everybody gets a choice on how they want to live their life. And they have that right. They don't have to follow our value system. The rose doesn't follow the value system of the sparrow, and the sparrow doesn't follow the value system of the fish, and the fish doesn't follow the value system of the strawberry. Each one is his own type. Now I know, now this is what I will expect. So far I didn't know, so I couldn't expect this. So I don't know what you mean it doesn't help. I mean, the problem will be there because we didn't know this. So it will help in the sense that you realize, I made a mistake. I'll deal with it. It'll only help like that. No? How else will it help?
Yes, I mean, doesn't help in the sense that there's always a element of surprise in it. So in that way, thank you.
So that is what is your first assessment of yourself. No, are you all knowing? Are you all knowledgeable? You're not. So therefore, you will be surprised. Okay, this is the time I didn't know.
Thank you.
Arjavam. The fabulous quality of Arjavam. Arjavam means to be upright. That means we live up to what we believe to be true. The rest of the world, all the time we are concerned with whether other people live up to what we believe is true. The big question is, are we willing to live up to what we believe is true? So many people tell me, I tell my son or I tell my daughter to take interest in Vedanta and to study it. But are you studying it? Are you doing your karma? All that, no. But no, I will tell everybody that you must study Vedanta. When we were deciding who will be trustees of the institution, of course, there are many criteria, but the first criteria was, or an important criteria was, are you studying Vedanta? Many people, so much money we lost because people wanted to give us money on the condition that they will be a trustee. But ours is very simple. Are you studying Vedanta? Otherwise, don't talk of trusteeship. I mean, that's not the only condition, but that is is sort of non-negotiable condition. Because you are working to set up a university where you are recommending to the whole world to study it, but are you doing it? No, I don't need to study, but I want everybody else to study. Then sorry, this is not the place for you. So Arjavam is the quality of us living up to what we believe is correct. Other people will, other people won't, none of our business. Am I doing what my gross intellect tells me to do, in which case I'm following my conviction, or what my subtle intellect tells me, in which case I'm following my conscience? And Arjavam is that life that you live, knowing fully well you're doing the best you can. That is all that is expected of any one of us. Just doing the best I can. There are situations where my performance will be lower than maybe what is desirable. But I have to just do the best I can. I cannot live up to some fabulous standards of perfection. I know what I can do, and the whole question to myself is, am I doing it? Somebody may be doing more, somebody may be doing less. That will always be there in life. No matter how much you do, you'll find somebody doing more. And no matter how little you do, you'll find somebody doing less. The question is, am I doing the best? That is living the life of Arjuna. Archavam doesn't mean, some people only translate it as go around telling everybody the truth. I mean, who has asked for your truth? You keep it to yourself. Unnecessarily going and telling people truths. Did they ask you for it? Somebody says, I love wearing this dress. And you say, you look so ugly in it. Why? Even if it is true, any need to say all this nonsense? Don't go around telling people the truth unnecessarily. The most important question is, am I doing what according to me is right? That's all. We're not living up to some fabulous ideas of perfection. We're not looking down on ourselves because somebody else is doing better than me. We're not patting ourselves on the back because somebody is doing worse than me. I'm simply doing what I can. This is not very complicated. It's very simple. Acharyopasana. The upasana of the teacher. Upasana. That means sitting next to the teacher. Upasana means service. How much will we do service to that from which we have got the greatest knowledge possible? That service is what purifies the mind and allows us to take in that knowledge. So it is like a very objective thing the teacher says, that without service of the teacher, you're not going to gain this knowledge. It's not going to happen. The service of the teacher throughout the scriptures is given an amazing relevance. It's like if you don't serve the people who have done the maximum for you, your parents have kept you alive when you could not do anything. We were in such a pathetic condition when we were born that if somebody did not come and put food into our mouth, we would have died. I mean, not enough keeping a plate of food next to you. Put it in my mouth. It's not enough having a bathroom in the house. You have to clean me where I am, how I am. So people have taken care of us, kept us alive. Okay, you say, oh, but my parent did this and my mommy did that. My mommy, daddy did that. Hey, Baba, you stayed alive? No, that means somebody has done this for you. So people who have done the maximum for us, if we do not serve them, then who on earth are we going to serve? Hence, Acharyopasana. This service we do when the teacher has no requirement of the service. No true teacher has any requirement from the student. So what are you going to give? You can't give financially, you can't give physically, you can't give emotionally, you can't give intellectually. What are you going to do for the teacher? And yet you serve, which means the attitude is one of always being ready to do something. Shaucham. Yeah, Komal.
I have one question. Sorry.
1 second, Komal raised her hand. Come to. Yeah, Komal.
Yeah, this reminds me of the thing like the other day you were telling, contact you if you wish to do anything for the Vedanta University or something in whatever. So what my suggestion you can say, or what I wanted to say here is, if you can announce here what are the requirements, so that accordingly, if people feel fit in for that, they can contact you. If you can, various fields that we require for this, for this, for this. And if somebody can help in this one, so they'll contact you instead of directly contacting and asking. If
As far as
possible, sometime.
university is concerned, everything is required. Whoever has any talent can bring it through. But class is not the time for that. Yes, after class, I will make the announcement if anyone wants to work for the university.
Yeah, any other time.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chandwani.
Madam, you just said serving the people, the parents or whatever, that will come under service to the perceptor?
No.
That
The
will come
point
under?
was, if we cannot serve the people who have served
Correct.
us so much, then who on earth are we going to serve?
So this will come under uprightness or will come under service to the preceptor? No?
Yeah, it's coming. The point is service to the preceptor.
Okay.
That is the only point.
That's all.
I'm giving parents as another example of it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Then Shaucham. Shaucham is another beautiful quality which you don't seem to know at all, which is cleanliness. Cleanliness. You feel you go to organizations that claim such great things. There is one organization, I don't want to name it. I went to its place, I was invited, and they, such a wonderful things, we make good men better, we do this, we do that, we do so many things. Okay, wonderful. But why is there so much dust around here? Why am I seeing broken chairs lying there? Where is the question of seeing external dirt? Where is the question of seeing internal dirt when you cannot see external dirt? If you claim to be a student of Vedanta and your room is in a mess, forget it. Give up your studies, go clean that room first. You cannot claim that I want to improve in myself, I want to purify myself, but everything around me is a big mess. Not working. So Shaucham begins at the physical level where you are able to see dirt. When you take out your shoes, do you see whether they're kept parallelly or not? When you're wearing your shoes, do you see whether the laces are, straight or it's become like a creeper? You've seen how people, some of their laces are all like creepers, all rolled up inside. Why is it rolled up inside? So if we can't see these things, if we do not have that eye to see external dirt, something is not quite right here. And it doesn't feel. People come here and they keep telling me, we are starting painting the house. So the people are all telling me, why do you need to paint the house? It is looking so nice. But I can see now the mess. What to do? It's an expensive hobby seeing the dirt, but once you see the dirt, what can you do? You have to have it cleaned up. So the moment you become acutely aware of external dirt, you begin to have the potential to see internal dirt. I know people who have the most beautiful houses and kept really well, but that's all they can see. The house is kept well, and then the matter is over. That is not Shaucham. Shaucham means all the way to the self-cleanliness. Okay, so we'll continue with